I'm very excited about getting to know this piece a little better. I have not played it, neither have I taught it before, but I've always liked the piece because it's so cheerful. And before I talk to you about what I feel about the piece, I would like to hear from you. Tell me, what is your relationship with Beethoven?
I will say that Beethoven is like one of my favorite composers.
Okay.
I love his music a lot. It's really powerful, have a lot of energy.
Do you have you had a lot of personal experience? Have you played a lot of Beethoven before?
Actually, like I play most of the time when like the sonatas I play is from Beethoven.
Oh, really? So you've played a lot of Beethoven. What's your favorite sonata that you played?
Right now, like I would say
This one, of course.
it's really fun and it's like a joke.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
So in a way, it's when we think about Beethoven, we think about dramatic and serious music full of contrast. This piece is a little bit different, right?
Yes.
And it's funny because it followed Opus 30, Beethoven's C minor violin sonata, which is very dramatic and it's very typical Beethoven, a lot of Sturm und Drang, right? And this one is suddenly enlightenment. What happened, right? Okay, so tell me now. You mentioned that it's like a joke.
Yes.
So what exactly makes you think that?
Okay, so
Other than G major key, which is very, very light-hearted key. Yeah.
especially with the rhythm, like I feel like Beethoven was trying to make fun of people who couldn't play at the same time, two hands at the same
Right.
time.
Right, and I'm thinking also he gives you a lot of passages playing hands together. It's like it reminds me a little bit of Hammond exercises, right?
Yes.
In a way, of course. I mean, we need to make musical sense of that, but it's still it's a lot of playing on octaves. So you know, it does sound like on the first page, especially in the beginning, like the pianist is just practicing, right? Just trying things out a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Good. So does Beethoven give us a lot of things on the page to follow normally?
Yes.
When you look at the score for the first time, you see the notes, you see the rhythms, of course. What else do you see?
The emotion, like the.
Well, what's on the page? We see a little bit of articulations, right?
Yes.
Not everywhere, but where he thinks it's important, he gives it to you, right? And he gives you just sometimes a little bit of dynamics, right? Of course, it doesn't mean that when he says piano, everything has to be equally piano, or when he says forte, it's just going to be all forte, right? So we have a choice of doing something within the dynamic, right? Okay. So I think enough talking. We can now maybe go from the beginning and explore a little bit more what we just said. We're going to talk about bringing out more humorous side of the piece, right? And also just look a little bit closer at the page to see what we can find there that maybe I can see a little bit differently from how you saw it and how you performed it, okay? So we just explore some options. Okay, why don't you play about first 20 minutes or so? Okay, very good, very good. Excellent, excellent. So what do we hear? This is the first theme, right? First main theme. How many elements does it have? Main elements that later you will see in the piece.
I would say two.
Two. I agree. So it's this passage, right? The passage that later he's developing into canon like longer passages. And we have the chords. Right? Okay, good. Are they anyhow contrasting? And if so, how do they relate to each other?
I would say like there are two like contrasting. The first one is like from the dynamics, and the second one is like from the rhythm. Like
what is the first one from?
The dynamics, like between
okay.
and forte.
Okay, so we start actually with piano, right? So it's to me it's basically an embellished G major scale, right? Right? So it's playful. I don't think it should be very strict in tempo. Maybe more playful.
Yes.
But then rhythm comes in. Yeah? So it's like a reaction. The first statement is one kind of character, and then everybody's reacting a little bit carefully, right? Okay, so that's one thing. Then here, what I notice, left hand is 8 notes with a rest in between and staccato. Right hand has no rest, no staccato, it's sustained, right? So, did you think about playing it that way?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, what I noticed in your performance, you used your pedal, for example, only in the forte.
Yes.
Did you think about maybe using it in the piano as well? So, maybe something like that.
Yes.
And then when forte comes, it's not so different. It's still part of the same idea, right? Okay, so I think this forte is not as contrasting as something that's coming up very soon,
Okay.
right? So why don't you try that? With a little hint of pedal. Okay, let's try a little shorter pedal. Okay. And a little bit more. Yeah, and maybe not so long here, too. We still want to hear the rests in left hand, okay? Yes, and then finally, the hands agree. Yeah, we both play staccato. That's true staccato, finally. Yeah? Okay, so then what happens next? We have another forte.
Yes.
And that forte is a true surprise. Where do you get F major scale? Out of nowhere. Right? So the beginning of the piece, and here, sorry, same idea, but a lot more enforced. Yes? So both hands and yeah. So let's start again, beginning. More maybe trying the grounds. Yeah. Okay, and now let's do this forte. Very good. And let's get to the end stronger. Right? Yes, and then it begins. Very good, very good, very good. Yeah, so I think it will sound very comical if that F major comes like that, you know? So then you have to make a big effort to not play loud in the beginning. Because I felt like your first statement was already at least mezzo forte. Yeah, so very playful and easygoing. Yeah. Okay, now we have this long passage. Okay. How are you thinking about it? It has sections. It's just 20 measures of 16 notes, or?
So in my opinion, it's like a development of the first idea.
Yes.
Here's like it just enlarge it and make it
Okay.
more charming.
So one sequence, yeah, the pattern goes gradually down the keyboard onto the bottom. Then we have 3 measures of going up.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit different pattern. Then we finally arrive to this very flashy arpeggio. Yeah. So three parts of that. So did you think about, well, it says crescendo and forte for a long time, right? Did you think about shaping this? So what is your idea?
I was to start with like piano, and then go to forte.
Okay, where are you getting the forte?
Okay, forte. And then after that, I would maybe drop to a little bit less than forte.
Okay.
So that we can have like a bigger.
And next arrival is when we write the D major with arpeggios.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so when you just start piano, can your left hand, when it joins right hand on the second hand, can it sneak in a little bit more? So it's not as like, because it immediately makes it heavier. So let's not do crescendo at least until the third measure, because it will happen anyway. Once left hand comes in, okay? So can you play it once slowly? So left hand very, and so on. Yeah? So let's really pace it. Even less when left hand comes in. Like a shadow of right hand, right? What if you try not to change anything on the right hand? It's just the way it starts. Just keep it. But left hand will come in, and that will change the colors already. And then we write. Okay, good. Can you try it a little faster? And get a little louder towards the bottom, yeah? Very good, very good. You know, you can also, I just suggested to you that right hand might be leading hand, right? In this, but when you have parallel movement like that, maybe one hand has to lead, right? So be a little bit louder than the other. Then that's just it sounds already more together. This way, when the hands compete for leadership, then there is more chance that it will be uneven sound-wise. But at the same time, what I'm thinking, you can reverse at some point. So left hand, for example, it would be kind of humorous if you bring out the bass register more. So when you get to forte, then maybe left hand can take over the leadership. What do you think? If you trust it, of course. I don't always trust my left hand. But then you get here. So all those staccatos. I think staccatos there are more just a slight accent. That a little bit more on top. First sound, but even the intermediate accent. So there's a big wave, but yet there's he obviously wants to mark the beats here. So I would like to hear I hear your top accent very well, but the intermediate accent I would like to hear more. Can you play it once without pedal, a little slower? So a little bit shorter maybe. Because what happens here in the music? We expect that this was a transition to the second theme, and instead, what do we get? We start it again. Yeah. So fermata. Sneak in with it again. But very cute rendition of that passage, right? Okay, very good. And let's talk a little bit about the second theme. So second theme is a lovely melody that we can actually hum, unlike the first theme, right? So what does it? What qualities of it do you like? What do you think it is?
I would say it even more joyful than the first theme.
More what?
Joyful.
Okay.
And really humorous.
Yeah. I think it's very charming and cute and dance-like maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. The rhythm of it becomes more like a dance, so that's very nice. And then does it stay like that? Something is changing, right? And we have it in a major key. And then suddenly. Right?
Yes.
So it has two faces, right? It has a very charming, very cute, nice face, and then suddenly it turns at you with all the very Beethoven-like sudden, like flip. Yeah? Can I hear more of that change? And how are we going to do it? Yeah, I think you need to enhance both characters. So first one can be a little more gentle. Ah, sorry. So I think you can be a little bit more capricious. Maybe even slight rubato there. I mean, just a little. Right? Okay. But I would like to hear much more smile and then frown. Yeah? So please. Very good effort. Very good. Those accents, he does give you a few sforzandos, and one of them in the melody, and then he wants to emphasize the harmonic progression. So that when it's in harmony, maybe you can. It's forte, so it can be also it can be two ways. Yeah, sforzando. Sforzando can be with volume, can be just an accent,
yes,
or it can be slightly delayed. That will also give it an emphasis, right? Sforzando is an emphasis, basically, right? You just choose if you wanted what quality of sound you want there. Yeah, or a little bit delayed also. Yeah. So I would go for probably for a stronger emphasis here. So both sound and slight delay of the sforzando measure. Okay. Do you mind to try it? You can go a little slower.
yes. So we go from 74.
Yeah, that's good. This is where sforzando is, right? You did a little bit before, which is, makes sense musically because I would do that too if he didn't write sforzando or he wrote it. Okay, so let's. Can you just start at 78 very slowly? Okay, and this is, I think, the end of it. And then we have a new idea. And that's another change of character, I think. Yeah, it's kind of melts almost. Yeah. So sequence. And then we have continuation of that idea. Yeah. And then we have another melting spot. I would like to work with you on that one. Is that okay?
Yes.
So what's happening in the right hand?
There are two different voices.
Yes, good. Could you play? So we can just right hand alone. Very good. And we do it once slowly.
Yeah.
And again, if you had a fugue by Bach or any other polyphonic work and you had two voices, how would you make sure that we actually hear them as two voices? What would you do?
Using two different dynamics.
Maybe, yes, slightly. And also make sure that you listen to your tied notes. So still there. And then it continues. Yeah. So let me try to do upper voice a little bit louder than bottom. And I'm gonna try to listen to all my long notes while playing the middle voice too. So I think what is important is to hear how you get out of the long note. Yeah. So let's try that. Okay, good. I think what will help you is if you phrase it towards the tied note. Yeah. And then let it last longer. Yeah. Even if you let it go, because I know stretches are very uncomfortable here. Even if you let it go, we can still imagine it's still there. Yeah? Can we do it one more time? Very good. Okay, I'm not gonna have you play it fast right now, okay? Because you probably need to spend a little time on slow work, okay? Very good though. Okay, and then we pretty much are at the end of the exposition. Yeah, we have only one conclusion theme left. I think two ways to play it. Again, he didn't give you any indication of articulation, so you can choose to play it short or more melodic way. Yeah, so longer articulation with a little bit of pedal or this one. So it's up to you.
Yes.
As long as colors change between major and minor. Yes? There. Okay. Good. And just one thing about the development section I want to talk to you about. That section is so hard to shape and to make it effective. How are you thinking about it overall, about the development section? So,
in my opinion, the development section.
Yeah. So it has several smaller parts in it, right? Okay. So first part obviously starts like beginning, yeah, and then you travel through a few keys, and then you get to B flat major, and then you get passages, you get a few sequences going, it intensifies dramatically, right? And then you finally arrive back to D major, yeah? To the arpeggios that we heard already in the exposition. And then he sits a while on that D, right? So you'll hear. So that's a very common thing, right, in the classical. So to sit on the pedal point of the dominant, and then anticipation, and finally we get back to home, yeah, to the recap. Okay, very good. So to me personally, when I looked at it and tried to play it, the hardest part would be those passages. First of all, they're kind of tricky to play themselves, but also how through it's forte for a while. What do you do to intensify when harmony changes? So you have B flat for a while. Right? So what do you do to, let's think about what we can do. Yeah? So you arrive to B flat. Let's do that. So that will be about 131. Can you start there? Is it okay? Or do you want to go a little bit before that? Arpeggios, I kind of lost your sense of beat a little. Can you, at that point, where you have D's, I could still kind of follow your beat, but when you have C, can that be a little bit more clear what's happening? Right? Okay, very good. So I heard very clearly from you, like B flat major, then when you arrived to C minor, was really very nice. But where is the point where the modulation happens? Right? That B, I would like to hear a lot more. So maybe can you do a little more lead into that?
Yes.
You know where that is, right? 139. Yes. So more sforzando, and then you can lighten up again, of course. Yeah, and then same thing. Yeah. So can you maybe try something? Just there, so 138. Let's start before. Let's start 136. Let's do first maybe. Okay, you know what I just did? And I think it could be a good strategy. Maybe do a little diminuendo right before. So listen. In a faster tempo, it won't be as obvious. Yeah, so that's what we want basically. So you really run towards that arrival to the D, on which you're going to sit for a while, yeah, is at measure 158. So I would like to hear that. Just clearly. Yeah, so you played really beautifully there. I just want to, again, more clarity right before that arrival to the D major chord. Okay, because this is first time it appears in all this traveling through the keys. Yeah, very good. And then lastly, I think we are running out of time. Lastly, this part. To me, this is similar to. So, I think if Beethoven was writing it for the orchestra, he would probably write for the instrumental sustain that note together with the rhythm. So, how can we create a feeling of sustained? Yeah, maybe. Can you try that with your right hand, please? Okay, how about even less break with you? So your finger never leaves the key. At the very last minute. Okay. You're just gonna hold your finger on the key, okay? And go. That's it. Okay. That's good. Yeah. So if you can create almost no break there, it's just an idea. I mean, I think it's very important because we can't hold pedal there, right? It would be nice, and maybe some people would do it, but then we lose the energy of the staccato, right? So. Yeah. Yeah. But also, what more insistent bass note, yeah? And maybe, what do you think about the staccato of quarters as opposed to staccato of eighth notes?
It's going to be longer.
A little bit longer, yeah? So, very defined beginning and end of the note, so just not so short that it seems like there's a rest in between them, right? Very good. Well, I think we are out of time by now, and thank you so much for going on this journey with me. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. And welcome to our latest edition of the Virtual Masterclass Mentoring Program. And today we welcome two wonderful artists. One that's extremely illustrious and versatile, Natasha Kislenko. You graduated from the Moscow Conservatory. You're the grand prize winner of the Missouri Southern International Piano Competition. You're very much sought out after chamber musician. You also teach at UC Santa Barbara, piano and accompanying, and so you're just everywhere. How do you do it? But welcome, and thank you for introducing Nam Pham, a wonderful young pianist from Vietnam. And you know, this is a treat for us because this is the first time we have the student and the teacher in one room since this pandemic. So this is a lovely surprise and an added bonus for all our viewers. Natasha, how have you been?
Good, thank you. It's been an interesting year. You know, I really miss performing. I miss being in the same room with students. Because Nam is a student at University of Houston, a student of my dear friend Tali Morgulis, who teaches here. My own students right now are all over the world. In fact, our university is not in person. So I teach only online, unfortunately. So this is a real treat for me to also be in the same room with someone I can teach. So this is wonderful.
That is.
I am so looking forward to coming back to this next year.
Yeah, indeed. And Natasha, so you're in Texas now, but normally you're in California. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's just a temporary move. It's for some personal reasons, but I'm enjoying it here because it's like coming home to Texas. Of course, we were all at school in Dallas. You and Alyssa and myself and many other wonderful pianists came from Mr. Achúcarro studio. But Houston is like my second home because my best friends live here. So it's always wonderful to come back here.
Wonderful. And I really enjoyed your class, and it's interesting to have the character of humor in Beethoven. That's not one associates with Beethoven. And Nam, you said that you played so many Beethoven sonatas. How many have you played? I couldn't hear quite well how many you've played.
I would say I couldn't remember, but like I played like three in general from Beethoven and at least five of them.
Oh, wonderful. And you're so young. That's that's really
That's a lot for that age. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Very impressive. And I loved you had so many good tricks for him. Like when you have parallel passages, you always have to lead. And it really helped him in the more difficult development. You usually lead if you go down the keyboard, you lead with the right hand, and going up and more volume, you kind of lead with the left. That's a wonderful trick for pianists of all ages. And I also like the fact that you talked a lot about structure and harmonic structure in Beethoven. And that's very difficult to reconcile for everyone, just to know how to read a score. And especially in Beethoven, there's so many contrasts and everything is so detailed. So it's beautiful how you encouraged Nam's freedom, and yet you're encouraging to really look deep into the score because everything is actually written out. So that's really wonderful. Can you tell me a bit, how do you think, people talk about traditions, and you come from the Russian tradition, or now, Nam comes from Vietnam, and maybe that's different now because the world is much smaller, I guess, and teachers and pianists live everywhere in the world. But can you tell us a bit more about your musical upbringing as opposed to when you moved to the States and studied with Achúcarro and later with Gil Kalish at Stony Brook? Can you just tell us a bit about that?
Well, Russian school gives you obviously a very strong foundation for um, playing piano, but also that's not only the thing that they focus on. Because in the school where I went as a child, we had from the very early age, from 6 years old, you had music theory, you had music history, you had to sing in choir, you had to play with others. So it was really a round-up education. And also, because I grew up in Moscow, I was very fortunate to attend a lot of concerts in person and go to the opera from early age. And it really helped. I didn't know, I didn't always want to go, of course, but my teacher was really a mentor, not only to me, but to my parents on how to shape me. Because she said that she saw my talent from the very early age, and she thought that to steer me towards music from early age was very important. And so that I think that was really very important to start early with that. Later, of course, I already acquired the knowledge, and a lot of things happened naturally at the piano. But when I came to the States and met Achúcarro, he introduced me to so much more. And then with Gil Kalish again, so much more. So I was very fortunate. And also I met a lot of wonderful musicians along the way to play with. And so I feel very lucky to have led the path in music that I have.
Wonderful. Yeah, it does take a village to kind of to educate a musician from all backgrounds and and all facets. It's
And
very
it never stops. You can learn all your life. That's a great thing about our profession. You
yeah.
know, learning doesn't stop with school.
Exactly. And now I read that your parents are musicians. Is that the case?
Yes,
That's wonderful that you were also exposed to music from a very small age and then just in your household. And that's very important to be exposed to music and to have the opportunity to hear it and go to concerts and of course the musical background of and the history. And that is very important. Natasha, do you have any projects for the summer and for the fall performing?
Surprisingly, to my surprise, actually, the music festival, which I'm part of, I've been part of it since 2004, the Music Academy of the West, is gonna probably be in session. That's being discussed. It's probably gonna be live, and I can't wait. That's gonna be this summer. It starts at the end of June, and I'm teaching there in collaborative piano program. Uh, so hopefully we'll have concerts and hopefully we'll have wonderful opportunities with students to explore music. Last year we had to go on online only, and for collaborative pianists, it's really very limiting what we can do. We basically, I just had a one-on-one lessons. We were going through scores, we were learning some new pieces, but we could not work on how to work with others, how to make music, in the room, how to shape things, how to balance things. That was all excluded, and that was, of course, like so. We had just a little bit, and I was very glad that all the last year students are invited back this year, so we can work a lot more in depth and have a lot more fun together. Most importantly.
That's right. Music does bring people together, keeps us connected, and that's very important as well. And Nam, do you have any projects for the summer? Any performances or?
yes. I will have like a trio recital this
Oh,
and I'm preparing a lot of Beethoven again, and I'm planning to learn the second movement in the third.
yeah, a lot of Beethoven because I'm afraid that because of COVID, he didn't get his proper year, so
I
it's
know.
stepping over it.
So many, I'm sure everybody had so many plans performing here and there, Beethoven, but it was so limiting last year.
Thank you. And one last question to you, Natasha. What can you take from this whole year of pandemic going forward? Something that you think you'll bring with you?
Uh, hmm. Well, a lot of patience, a lot of patience, and a lot of it's surprising, but as a mom, you don't get more time when you're at home. You actually get less time because you have to be a mom, and I have two small boys. So unfortunately for me, my music making sort of stopped this year, and so I am so eager to get out of this circle. So hopefully next year will um, give me a lot of joy, more and more professional satisfaction than this year. Unfortunately, this year I was kind of put on hold.
Yeah. Well, here's to many more encounters with you in person. I hope it's been too long. And thank you for introducing Nam to us. And here's to more joy in life and to more music. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucille.
Thank you.